stillness of the house where breath and shadow entwine, a loyal heart keeps watch beyond the veil of mortal sight. He hears the whispers of the dead, smells the sorrow buried deep beneath the floorboards, and though he cannot speak, his silence tells the oldest tale of all, that love endures, even when its master no longer calls.
Well, well, my faithful fiends. Tonight's tale comes from the eyes of an unlikely witness, one who cannot speak, but who sees everything. What horrors haunt the house when only the dog knows the truth? Bury your bones, dear viewers. This is one of the most original and haunting indie horror films of the year, a supernatural ghost story told through the loyal gaze of man's best friend. Good Boy is a 2025 American supernatural horror film, the featured debut of writer-director Ben Leonberg. It stars Shane Jensen, Ariel Friedman, genre veteran Larry Fessenden, and Leonberg's own dog Indy, who gives one of the most soulful performances you'll ever see. Good Boy was a labor of love, independently produced by Ben Leonberg and Carrie Fisher under their uniquely named production company, What's Wrong With Your Dog? In the starring role, Leonberg relied entirely on his own dog, Indy, with no visual effects, creating an authentic and intimate performance. Clocking in at a concise 72 minutes, the film was meticulously shot on location in Harding Township, New Jersey, over the course of 400 days, a testament to the dedication behind this haunting indie debut. The film premiered at South by Southwest, traveled the festival circuit, and finally found its den this October through IFC and Shudder. For a film shot over 400 days on an ultra-low budget, it's a masterclass in atmosphere and emotion. And tonight we're going to dig up why this humble ghost story, from a dog's point of view, might just be the most human horror film of the year. Our story follows Todd, a young man battling a chronic illness who retreats from New York to his late grandfather's house in the woods, accompanied by his beloved retriever, Indy. But something else lives there, something ancient, muddy, and watching. Soon Indy begins to sense what Todd cannot. Shadows twist, doors move on their own, and whispers echo through the empty halls. What unfolds is part ghost story, part emotional tragedy, a meditation on love, loyalty, and death, all through the eyes of a dog. You never really see any of the actors' faces. Todd is played by Shane Jensen, who delivers a good enough performance, a man wasting away both physically and spiritually. Ariel Friedman, as his sister Vera, is also adequate with some genuine emotion, while Larry Fessenden, the patron saint of American indie horror, plays the deceased grandfather. His role is a cameo that appears only through camcorder footage. The only person whose face you see on screen, but the star, is Indy. Leonberg's own dog is magnetic on screen, curious, frightened, loyal to a fault. The camera stays close to his level, and without a word, Indy conveys terror, empathy, and even understanding. It's remarkable how a real animal, no VFX, no tricks, carries the film's emotional weight. And it's all because of the film language. Leonberg shoots the film largely from Indy's perspective, low angles, close-ups of paws, breath, and eyes. It makes familiar spaces feel alien. The house becomes a maze of shadows, each corner heavy with unseen presence. Every frame is soaked in natural light and woodland decay. Think The Witch meets The Revenant, but filtered through the eyes of innocence. For a debut director, Leonberg shows astonishing restraint. He knows that what we don't see is far more terrifying than what we do. He's a very clever student of the language of film. And in the Regal Theatre showing where I watched this, they even gave you a little behind the scenes where the director explains the Kuleshov effect, the technique that involves editing together 2 or more shots to create a new combined, meaning that is not present in any single shot. The Kuleshov effect highlights how the viewer's mind creates a relationship between juxtaposed images, allowing a director to convey emotion, character motivation, or narrative information by placing seemingly unrelated shots next to each other. And that is why the dog seems like he's acting. At its core, Good Boy is about mortality and loyalty, about how our pets witness our decline, our grief, our ghosts, and still stay by our side. Told through Indy's eyes, death becomes something both tragic and tender. The film walks a delicate line between supernatural horror and pure emotion. The tone is patient, melancholy, and spiritual. Don't expect jump scares or cheap frights. This is mood horror built on atmosphere, not adrenaline. It's a film that breathes slowly, painfully like Todd himself. The sound design is hauntingly intimate. Every scratch, breath, and rustle of fur amplifies Indy's world. The sparse score creeps in like fog, mournful rather than menacing, reminding us that this is a story of love's endurance, not vengeance. There's no CGI here. The supernatural is achieved through lighting, shadow, and subtle movement, old-school practical horror. The editing stays tight at 72 minutes, never overstaying its welcome. It's lean, deliberate, and devastating. What works? Nearly everything. The concept is bold, the execution confident, and the emotional punch undeniable. Leonberg finds a new way to tell an old story, not through fear of monsters, but through empathy for the ones who remain behind. In the age of overproduced horror franchises, Good Boy reminds us that terror doesn't come from spectacle, but from feeling. It's one of the most striking indie debuts of 2025, beautifully shot, emotionally raw, and deeply original. For fans of slow-burn supernatural tales like The Black Coat's Daughter or A Ghost Story, this is an absolute must-watch. It's horror through heartbreak, seen through the eyes of man's truest companion. Thanks for tuning in, and please keep watching The Crypt of Nights.